Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Monday Morning with Mo. Well, top of the Monday to you, and welcome to another episode of Monday Morning with Mo. Got a brand new mic here I'm pretty excited about, so hopefully you guys can hear me. If it's your first time joining us, this is Monday Morning with Mo, where we meet with you Monday mornings at 8 a.m. to answer your legal questions at no charge to you. Feels like we haven't been on in a little while. I think it's only been a week, though. I think it was just the July 4th weekend, so hope everybody had a good July 4th weekend and a good weekend this past weekend as well. And we're back, baby. Back here to answer your legal questions once again. So if, like I said, if you don't know, if you have legal questions, shoot them to us at ask@dewittlaw.com. I think it is rotating somewhere down here. Maybe that's the phone number. Or give us a call, 407-536-6737. That is a voicemail line. You can call at any time, leave a voicemail, and we'll answer your legal questions right here on the show. That's what we do. So, hope you guys had a good weekend. I did the Semantics podcast along with Josh from my office, also known as Pinkman, from the Phillips File, if you were a Phillips File fan. So check out that episode. It's on Semantics. You can find it on wherever you listen to your local podcasts. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that stuff, I'm sure. And then I know some of you joined us for the SBK show on 102.5 The Bone as well. Had some technical issues with that recently. Cox Media Group, who owns 102.5 The Bone, they've had a lot of issues with their servers, caused some issues with us connecting into their show. But we should be back live this week on that. I think this week might be on a Tuesday, and then going forward, we might be on a Thursday moving forward. But I'll post some updates on that for you as well. So stay tuned. We also got some merch giveaways coming up. Lots of fun stuff. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. I think it's Mo DeWitt on Instagram if you don't follow me there. Or maybe it's Moses DeWitt. I get them confused. I don't know. But anyways, let's jump into it and answer your legal questions this Monday morning. All right, let's see what we got here. First up, we got James. James says, let me clear this window out so I can read this thing. There we go. James says, I got put on probation for 6 months for reckless driving until August 1st of this year. And last week, they sent in all my successful completion paperwork to the judge, and I don't have to report to probation anymore. But I still have random drug tests until August 1st. Excuse me. I travel a lot for work and got permission for all that, but I leave to Jamaica for 8 days prior to August 1st, and I have a feeling I will probably get yet another random drug test. I doubt I can do it in the Bahamas. Jamaica. Yeah, so what do I do is basically his question. Not really a great answer there. The only thing you really could do is motion the court to ask for your probation to be terminated early. And when you say that they sent all your paperwork in, I don't know if that's what they've already done. But given the short time frame there, that it's July 12th today, and your probation automatically ends on August 1st, I don't even know if you could get in and see the judge before then. It's probably not worth the time or the money to try to do that. Really, probably the best advice would be delay your vacation until after August 1st. I'm sure that's probably not what you want to hear. But otherwise, there is, of course, a risk there if you get called in for a random drug test and you can't do it because you're in the Bahamas. I'm sure there's no place there that you can do it. So there's definitely a risk there. I think the only thing that you could do, like I said, is motion the court, ask them to terminate your probation early. But again, given the short time frame here, I don't know that really makes sense from a cost standpoint, or if you could even really get it done before then. So I definitely check with if you had a criminal defense attorney handle the case for you, check with them. Depending on what county it's in, they may be more familiar with the procedures. They may be more familiar whether you're likely to get drug tested after you kind of complete all the terms of your probation. So I would definitely give them a call, check with them, see if they can give you any more information. Again, at the end of the day, the safest thing is not to go to Jamaica, but I know that's not what you want to hear from me. So Anyways, thank you for the question, James. Let's see what we got here as well. A few more questions this morning. Keep the questions coming. I probably don't have time to answer all the questions we've gotten over the last 2 weeks, but we've gotten a bunch of them. So let's see here. Next one up is from Lisa. Good afternoon. My name is Lisa. I'm currently renting a house in Lake Nona, and I've been having some issues with my property manager. I'm curious about what to do next. I currently rent a townhouse for $1,900 a month with 2 other roommates. It's 4 bedrooms. We ended up breaking the lease early because I got a new job offer in Tampa. One roommate has already moved out, and the other 2 of us will be moving out this Saturday. Okay. We already paid the fee of $1,285 for the lease to be broken and the house to be put on the market. I have appointments for the house and carpets to be cleaned per the move-out instructions per the lease. Unfortunately, we paid this fee over a week ago, and they told us the house would go up immediately once paid, and it hasn't, nor will they answer any of our calls or emails. I'm getting to the point where I'm planning on not paying rent that's due for the month of July because they refuse to hold up their end of the contract and to rent the house out quickly and diligently per the contract. I know that they could sue if this keeps going and we don't pay rent, but it is also very unfair they aren't working with us at all. What should I do here? Thanks, Lisa. Okay, so I got some questions for you, Lisa. The first one is, why did you pay $1,285 to break the lease? So, again, this is all going to come down to what the terms of the lease are. But if you paid $1,285 to break the lease and they said, hey, you can walk away from the lease, we'll go ahead and rent it out, it's no longer your concern, that's what the purpose of that payment was, then, hey, you don't really care when they relist the property. I'm guessing, though, that's not the case based on your email. I'm guessing you paid them $1,285 for some reason. I'm not really sure why you paid them that money. And then they said, okay, we'll go ahead and list the property for rent, and hopefully we'll get a new tenant in here as soon as possible. And if we do that, then you won't have to pay the rent going forward. I'm guessing that might be the agreement, but ultimately it's gonna depend on what does the lease say, and did you enter into any contract when you paid them this $1,285. So there is such a thing as what we call mitigation of damages. You could argue that the landlord has to mitigate their damages, and there's some exceptions to this in landlord-tenant law, but typically anybody has to mitigate their damages. By doing that, they have to, in this case, they would have to relist the property for rent, try to get somebody else in there as fast as possible, because basically to mitigate the damages, mitigate the lost rent there. And so I think that's where lease is going, is maybe they paid them $1,285, they agreed to let them walk away from the lease, but they were still going to be responsible for the payments until it was released to somebody else. And so, if that's the case, again, it boils down to what the contracts are from a legal perspective. From a practical perspective, you want to just keep on top of them. It may have even been better. Hindsight's always 20/20, but maybe even would have been better if they allow you to list the property to rent it as a sublease, and then you put the person in there. That way, you have a little more control over the process. But I am very curious as to why you paid them that $1,285. If you guys have some insight on that. Maybe I'm a little outdated on the leasing procedures. Drop it in the comments. Always curious to see that. Let's see here. Got one more for you. There are long questions today. I like the short questions. Keep it brief. I got to drink some more water. Keep talking. All right. Hello, Moses. I was hoping to speak to you in consultation about child custody support adjustment. Let's skip over that part. All right, for some background information. I was divorced in July of 2020. The current custody split is 47%, 53%, with my ex-wife having the majority. So you have 47, she has 53. Unfortunately, after a 3+ year process, I ended up signing a parenting plan that was less than ideal for my time sharing. Ultimately, I received, in addition to the regular weeks, repeating time sharing 4 weekends per year to help even the divide in number of overnights. Okay, so I guess basically that was kind of a way to offset to try to get you closer to 50-50. These weekends have to be mutually agreed on by both parties per the verbiage of the agreement. My ex-wife has presented an issue with every single request I have ever made, despite ample notice, and she has never had any concrete conflict with the weekend I chose. I've even suggested we get a parent coordinator to help iron out the schedule at the beginning of each year to minimize the conflict, which she declined. It is an extremely painful process and one that I've dealt with for the past year. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to change the schedule. Thank you for your time. All right, so there's one thing that really jumps out at me here, and he says, unfortunately, after a 3+ year process, I ended up signing a parenting plan that was less than ideal for my, he says for my timeshare, but really for his situation. And I point this out because a lot of times in whether it's a divorce process, child custody process, people just get worn down. They just want it to be done. And I think anybody who's ever gone through that can certainly understand that. But when you do that, you still want to make sure that the agreement that you enter into is fair, in the best interest of the children, and will work for you. And so the major flaw, and from what he's describing here, is that he got 4 more weekends to try to get closer to 50-50 time sharing. That was kind of the negotiation of the bartering chip. However, they have to be mutually agreed upon, which basically negates ever having them, because if you and your ex-spouse or the mother or father of your child don't get along and something has to be mutually agreed upon, well, it's never going to happen unless you guys can mutually agree upon it. And you probably can't agree upon the time of day. So it's just never going to happen at all. And so, in the agreement, it had to be mutually agreed upon it. And, I could be wrong in this situation. Maybe everybody was getting along at that point in time, and then later they stopped getting along. But the whole purpose of these agreements is you have to think worst case scenario. Because if everything's going well, you put the agreement in the drawer, you and the other party work together. If something needs to change, you give them a call, whatever needs to happen. These agreements come out of the drawer, and people cite them and use them when you can't get along. And that's the entire purpose of that, is if you can't agree, the agreement tells you what to do. So when the agreement says that it has to be mutually agreed upon, that doesn't help. So unfortunately, you're kind of stuck here, because the only time you can modify a parenting plan is if there's a substantial change in circumstances that occurred after the last case, after the final judgment of the last case, essentially. So it's been 3+ years. You'd have to show that something has substantially changed in your life that affects the time-sharing schedule with your children in order to request that the court change it. Otherwise, you're pretty much stuck with that agreement. So happy to discuss that with you more further, but that's basically the deal. They're pretty tough to change unless you can't change it unless there's a substantial change in circumstances. So that is that. So thank you as always for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed Monday Morning with Mo. We'll try to keep it coming every Monday for you, and I'll give you some updates on the SBK Live show as well on 102.5 The Bone. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram if you would. YouTube as well. Hey, that can't hurt. And I'll see you guys later in the week, and of course next week for another episode of Monday Morning with Mo. Take care, have a great week, and stay safe out there.